Playing backup quarterback in the NFL behind a future Hall of Famer is often an obscure, quiet existence. If all goes well, you don't get much time on the field. But Matt Flynn is a winner. He led LSU to the national championship before he arrived in Green Bay. And winners have a way of making their mark. In the Super Bowl season of 2010, Aaron Rodgers suffers a concussion in Detroit. The Packers lose, like a 10-3 game, something like that. Your playoff hopes, just to make the playoffs are kind of hanging by a thread. And I'll never forget, you're going to go to play the New England Patriots, who are the best team in the league and haven't lost in New England since the Revolutionary War. Okay, so you got that going for you, which is nice.
Which is nice.
That week, Mike McCarthy gets up on Wednesday and says to your team, Aaron Rodgers is not going to be your quarterback that week. Doesn't want you guys to divulge that to the media or anything.
Right.
And says Matt Flynn will be our quarterback, and we're going to go to New England. And if we lose the coin toss, we're going to onside kick. We're going to get the ball, and we're going to score.
Yep.
All of that happened with you at quarterback. Tell me about that night in New England.
Yeah, so that was a
Sunday night game, by the way.
Yeah, it was Sunday night. It got flexed, and it was extremely, I'll say special. It's kind of an overused word, but very special night, day for myself, just because all the hard work and preparation that I'd put into, I got to go out and play. Like, you're a backup to Aaron Rodgers, you're not going to play. So that's the thing. So I got an opportunity. I was in my third season, and I was like, well, this is my chance, my opportunity to prove that the Packers have made the right choice the last 3 years. I was drafted in the 7th round. I won the job to back Aaron up in my rookie year. And I'd only started 1 year in college, really, full year. So they had put a lot of faith in me, a lot of trust in me since the beginning. So this was my chance to go and prove. Now, I always had confidence that I could play. But if you don't get the chance to play, nobody else really has the confidence until you show it and prove it. So it was just a night that I was able to prove to everybody that, hey, I was capable. I could go in there and step in, and we could compete and win games. It was December 19th, which is my wife's birthday and my dad's birthday, and so it was a cool night. And I remember, you grow up, everyone who plays quarterback, they're a Tom Brady fan. Right? And if you're not, then you're just lying, right? Or you just have some sort of weird grudge against Tom Brady or the Patriots. It's just this really surreal feeling. It's like, all right, I'm going to play the Patriots. I've watched him play for 9-10 years or whenever, and we're driving there, and of course there's a lot of nerves, a lot of butterflies, floating around. Bus to the game, and this is, of course, it gets dark early, and it's just pitch black, and I'm like, where am I? It's kind of like when you hear when opposing teams come to Lambeau, they're like driving through a neighborhood, and all of a sudden, boom, a stadium.
Yeah.
Same thing in Foxborough. I'm just driving around, and all of a sudden I see the lights, and like heart starts pumping, heart starts racing. I'm like, all right, it's time to go out there, and a lot of eyes going to be on this. I'm either going to play well, or just don't go throw like a pick the first play of the game. And I knew Mike was going to be really aggressive. I remember when he did announce everybody I was going to play, he was like, he's going to start, and we're going to go over there and we're going to kick their what. So the confidence was there, and that's the job of a head coach, to give everybody confidence. But I think we just kept building. When I was like, all right, hey, look, this guy, back up, first time playing, he's not buckling into this pressure. Like, first drive, they're like, all right, we got this. Like, we're good. Let's go out and play a game. Defense played well. We just, unfortunately, it's one of those games that I'm proud of, but we lost. We ended up losing, so it kind of gives me the cringes a little bit when I think about it too, because there was opportunities there to win the game.
You were in control of the game, and an offensive lineman on kind of a squib kick picked it up and ran 80 yards or something, set up the Patriots right before halftime at the doorstep. Brady, an easy touchdown. Nonetheless, you guys didn't wilt. I want to ask you about this, because I sensed this on the plane ride home. You guys lost the game, but you kind of learned something as a team that, hey, we can play with anybody, anywhere. And I thought that was significant, because you guys, the team you took into the season was vastly different from the team due to all the injuries you had that night in New England. Could you confirm or deny that for me? Or what was your feeling?
You know what? It's obviously that year was an incredibly special team. Well, we ended up doing the run. We ended up going as the number 6 seed. Aaron Rodgers, if not the best to ever play the position. He's really coming into his prime at that point. His first year of starting was 2 years prior to that. In 2009, he had a really great season. But 2010, everyone it started like saying, okay, this guy's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to do some special things. We all knew the team was good around us. We had lost some games, had some injuries, but I think it was, there's certainly a confidence booster that comes. It's like, all right, we have the best quarterback in the league, but we should have beat the best team, quote unquote, the best team in the league, without that guy, with somebody else. So there's just a confidence there that I think stuff like that happens. The defense, our safeties and playing incredible. Like our defensive line was really gelling and coming together. Like our defense played amazing that game, and they just kept building and building and building. And the leadership that defense had with Charles Woodson and Colin, all those guys, it was very special.
The following year, 2011, the Packers had everything clinched at 14-1 entering the final week of the regular season. Coach Mike McCarthy emptied his bench in a game with division rival Detroit, and Flynn went off that day, setting Lambeau Field's single-game records with 480 passing yards and 6 passing touchdowns in a wild 45-41 victory.
That was a wild, wild day. And I always kind of think back because we were 15-1. And as much as it as a team guy, as much as it pains me to say it, it's like, I'm so glad that Romeo Crennel and the Chiefs beat us in week 13 because we were 12 or 13-0.
Yeah.
And if we don't lose that game, we're not sitting starters to go, to get 16-0. So it's like, perfect season would have been awesome. But for me personally, I got the opportunity to play. Timing's kind of everything. And it was the last regular season of my rookie contract. And it was just one of these things where it was awesome to be able to go out there. And I knew it might have been, at that time, into my Green Bay career. So it was just really cool to be able to go out and play in Lambeau Field, start in Lambeau Field. This place is so special and means so much to me. But that day, I wake up, and it's a noon game, and it was like 15 or 18 degrees or something like that, and windy. I remember the tarp going out there, and the tarp was blowing off because it was so windy. And the Lions, they were coming. They were out there, and they were, they had their shirts off and stuff, acting like the cold weather. It's like, trying to intimidate us. Like, all right, your shirt's off. That's not smart at all. But it's like, it was not the optimal conditions for throwing attack. But I think combined yardage with me and Matt Stafford, we threw for exactly 1,000 yards because I threw for 480 and he threw for 520. He threw for 5 touchdowns. We had 11 total touchdowns. And it was just one of those games where just everything seemed to be working from both sides of the ball, their offense and our offense. And the receiving core was incredible. You look both ways, and you got talent, you got big guys, you got guys that can score a touchdown anytime they touch the ball. It was fun because Aaron actually in the first half of the game called the plays.
Yeah,
and then Mike took over in the second half. And that was kind of because it was, you're not playing, Aaron, but let's keep you, we want you to be engaged all week and do everything like you would. So we're going to have you call the plays and so, I'm walking up to the line of scrimmage, and Aaron and I are close, and he's telling me a joke or something in my head, or saying something dumb in my ear, and I'm walking up to the line of scrimmage laughing a lot of the time. So it was a fun day and a game that was one for the books for sure.
480 yards passing by you, 6 touchdowns, 45-41 win.
Yeah, right.
It was an incredible game. I'll never forget that game. It was just amazing.
I think Aaron had either broken or tied the touchdown record a couple of weeks before that with 5.
Yeah.
And so we're in the fourth quarter, and I threw my 5th touchdown, and I come over to the sideline. He just shakes his head. He's looking at me, and then he just laughs, and he's like, "Dude, if you get a chance, you got to get 6." And I'm like, "I'll try. I'll see. I'll see what happens." And eventually, I got it, and he was the first one to help me.
So years later, do you ever think about? I would reflect on that. You're talking about the Green Bay Packers. You're talking about Bart Starr and Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, even Lynn Dickey was a great quarterback here. Yet you've got the single-game record,
right.
yardage and touchdowns.
Yeah. What's funny? I think Aaron ended up tying the yardage. Well, he has 6 touchdowns too in a game, and then he tied the yardage on the button. He threw for 480 in another game, and wow. I texted him after the game you couldn't have done one less or one more. You had to tie right on the button. That's what are the odds of that happening?
For Matt Flynn, 2 games at New England in 2010 and against Detroit on the last day of the 2011 regular season set up a lucrative contract in free agency. In 2012, Seattle signed Matt for 3 years, $20 million with $9 million guaranteed. But that was not the storybook to stardom many expected. You see, the Seahawks drafted Russell Wilson in the 3rd round that year, and the rest, as they say, is history. Flynn was traded to the Raiders the following season. They cut him. He ended up in Buffalo, where he was cut again in November of that season. Meanwhile, his old team were struggling in 2013 with injuries to quarterbacks Aaron Rodgers and backup Seneca Wallace. The Packers brought in Flynn to essentially save the season and keep hope alive until Rodgers could return. And that's just what he did. Going 2-2 as the starter, he kept the Packers in the hunt. Along the way, Flynn engineered one of the biggest comebacks in franchise history. It was on the road in Dallas, where the Packers were trailing 26-3 at halftime to the Cowboys. They went on to rally for a 37-36 victory.
I wish I could remember halftime. I don't. See, there's a lot of players either remember everything about every game. I'm not one of those guys. Like I'm kind of a get in the zone guy. If I'm in the zone, then I don't recall a lot of like the minutia about what happened. I don't remember exactly what was said. I remember going up to the offensive lineman, and I said, just believe. I was like, just believe that we can do. Like I said, I believe that we can do this. We can come back and win. And it's like, you're 26-3. It's like everyone's like, okay, like football guy movie stuff. They're like, all right, that's fine, like whatever. Let's just go play. We'll all play. We'll give it a shot, but odds are stacked pretty highly in their favor. But that Dallas game is, when I think back on my NFL career, that's one of like the more positive. That's probably one of the more the things that I think about the most, and that I've always taken away. Patriots was awesome. The Lions was awesome. Winning the Super Bowl, incredible. But that game, well, first of all, I grew up in Texas, so I grew up a Cowboy fan, which was, I played high school in that old Texas Stadium.
Sure.
I played high school playoff games and things like that. So that was, and so I have a lot of family. Family was there, and they're, ones that, I got some hardcore Cowboy fans in my family, so they're all wearing, of course, Green Bay outfits and clothes. But the path that I'd been on the previous couple of years, Seattle, things didn't go my way.
Russell
Oakland,
Wilson, yeah. Seattle. Yeah.
Oakland had some injuries I was dealing with, and things didn't go my way. There was a lot of doubt thrown at me, a lot of people saying a lot of negative things. But being able to come back to a place that means so much to me, and I love playing for in Green Bay, and to be able to kind of go out and have success and have a game like that and a comeback like that was a lot of validation for me, I guess. And it was just it was a very positive experience, and just being able to know that a lot of people wrote you off, so that you weren't, you had some lucky games or whatever it was. To be able to go out there and do that on stage like that was cool.
Yeah, and especially that season, because I mentioned Seneca Wallace was injured, Scott Tolzien got banged up. The Packers are really struggling. They're trying to get to the playoffs. You don't win that game in Dallas and a couple of others that I think you were involved in. You don't get to that final play in Chicago to win the division championship that everyone talks about every time the Bears game comes up. That must be really gratifying to you.
Yeah, incredible. It was. I remember I was in Buffalo and for 3 weeks during the season, and I was there because I think one of their quarterbacks was injured, so I came up there just to be kind of a body up there for a couple of weeks, and then I get cut on a Monday, and I'm watching Monday Night Football, I think, and Aaron gets hurt. And then, like in 2 days, I was on a plane to Green Bay to come and take a physical and everything like that. And then the next week, I'm in the mix of it. And Scott was starting against Minnesota, and then Mike put me in the second half. And we were down, and that's where it kind of started. Then I came in, and I think I started 4 or 5 more games after that. I can't remember, but one time we had a couple not so great games, but we ended up tying. I think the one that I came in. And that tie helped us.
The tie helped against Minnesota.
Yeah, I hate tying,
yeah.
But it was one of those games where we were down and out, and then we came back, and that was just it was a great run, and Aaron got to come back and the playoffs.
Exactly, and the playoff game, really could have gone your way also. But Got to be. And like I said, gratifying for you that, hey, the Packers don't make the playoffs unless you do what you did that year. That's tremendous.
Yeah, to be able to have, you know, any sort of positive impact in a franchise and organization like this, especially when you're talking about playoffs and, you know, in 2010, a Super Bowl run, and just have, whether you're a backup, whether you're a starter, whatever it is, to have any sort of impact is really special. But to be able to go and, like, I started against the Steelers in Lambeau Field at night when it was snowing. I was like, nobody gets that opportunity. And so, you know, I look at pictures like that, me playing with snow around, like that's what Lambeau's all about, right? And it's just, it's really cool to be able to say you're part of the history, part of these really, really great teams, and a great time to be a Packer player, Packer fan, and part of the organization.
For a 7th-round draft choice, backup quarterback Matt Flynn certainly left his mark on Green Bay and the Packers.